I'm Woodbridge Mayor John McCormac, and we're here today for a very special edition of About the Town. I'm joined by Bill Lavin, who was born in Elizabeth, moved to Woodbridge, and has lived there since, raising his family. I'm with Megan Traskowitz, who was born in Woodbridge and left several years ago to another town, but they are joined for a very special reason, which we're here to talk about today. First, let me start with Bill Lavin. You were the state president of the Firefighters Mutual Benefit Benevolent Association. Ran the whole state union. Talk about that position and how you got it and your career as a firefighter.
Yeah, I grew up in Elizabeth. I was an Elizabeth firefighter, retired as a captain, but I was the president of the FMBA for 16 years. We go way back, you know.
That's where you and I met when I was working in Trenton.
You were the treasurer under Governor McGreevey at the time.
And Cody.
And yeah, so it was a good ride for a long time, and representing firefighters and advocating for first responders in general. And happy to say, you know, once I got through that in some of the difficult times through politics, and created the Where Angels Play Foundation, which obviously is what we're here to talk about.
Great. Megan, you were born in Woodbridge, grew up in Woodbridge, actually went to school with Billy's son.
Right. And
then you moved to a different town, to Matawan, to raise your family. Tell me about that.
I did. Well, I loved growing up in Seawarren and in Woodbridge, and I spent a lot of great time here. And now we moved to Matawan after I got married and had kids, and that's where we currently are.
So your husband took you away from Woodbridge?
Yes, he did. He did. He tried to get me to Bayonne, but we settled on
Matawan. A little closer. So Billy, talk about now the Where Angels Play. Back after 9/11. The tragedy there. You were working as Elizabeth fireman, very active with the union. You got a letter from some kids in Mississippi. Tell me what happened.
Yeah, actually, during September 11, 2001, and that tragedy, trying to navigate through that, many fire departments from New Jersey, including mine and Elizabeth, responded there. And one of the things that was memorable was because one of our fire captains had a niece who was a teacher in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi. She had those kids write us cards and letters, and just uplifting stuff to cheer us up. We hung them on the wall in our firehouse, and didn't think a whole lot of those children at the time until 4.5 years later, when Hurricane Katrina devastated the Gulf Coast, and we were curious as to how those children and their families fared. Doing a little investigation, we found out that their school was completely destroyed. 80% of those children lost their homes. Many of them lost loved ones. So the FMBA, Firefighters Mutual Benevolent Association, raised about $400,000 and sent it to Save the Children. Save the Children, in turn, invited me down to visit the Gulf. And it looked 6 months after the storm, it looked like it had just happened. And so we said, what more can we do? And it was clear that the children had no place to play, and that they needed a playground. So we returned the first time with 20, next time with 40 police and firefighters from New Jersey, and built 3 of the first 100% handicap accessible playgrounds in the history of the state of Mississippi. So it was really a very rewarding experience for us.
And how did you raise that kind of money that quick, or that much?
Well, the firefighters, is a great organization. We have 5,500 members, and we had a hurricane breakfast. At the time, John Corzine was the governor, and we reached out to him and some of his well-heeled friends, and had some big checks written. But grassroots, it was mostly, as always, it's the first responders, police, firefighters, teachers, organizations that assisted us.
And couple letters from kids. So all these kids watching now, when the teacher says write letters to veterans, write letters to people serving overseas, help lift their spirits. In this case, it really worked for a lifetime changing experience.
Yeah, the reality is that if the kids 7, 8, 9 years old think they can't change the world, that is really what happened. If you fast forward now, once we built those playgrounds, we had a hurricane of our own, a Superstorm Sandy, that came through, and just as we were getting our feet under us, and the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting took place, all of our efforts stalled. The whole country, the whole world really stopped, questioning what could we possibly do? How do we recover from this? A 9-year-old girl from Mississippi went on a video, and the video, she stated, "I want to thank the firefighters from New Jersey for building the playground that I've been playing on for the last 3 years, but more so for caring so much about us." So once again, little Carly Coyne from Mississippi planted the seed for the idea that eventually became Where Angels Play.
Are you getting goosebumps? Because I am.
Yeah.
So there's 21 students and 5 teachers that lost their lives?
Yeah,
in
20 children and
20 children.
And 6 educators. Okay. Yeah, and all of them angels. So we, based upon that idea, we started again to raise money through grassroots. What we thought would take us 5 to 10 years took us 19 months. We had such a great outpouring from the really kids in Michigan and California were doing through the social network. Lemonade stands, bar mitzvahs, communion money came from all over. We were able to raise $3 million in a really short period of time. And as we built these playgrounds, the idea really was to honor the children, to celebrate their life, not identify how they left us, but rather what they cared about, their favorite color, whether they liked princesses, whether they liked
robots or whatever,
video games or flamingos. So it went on, and there were 2 very special pieces. One was that their name and their legacy would continue on, and it really, the gift was not from us, but rather from the children. And the other great piece of it was that their surviving brothers and sisters and moms and dads would work with us and help us build it. So it was cathartic not only for first responders, but for the families themselves.
And a way to get through the grieving process, I guess you would say.
It was a small. We never got too carried away with what we were trying to provide a day, a weekend, a place on a special birthday or holiday for them to go to, not necessarily a memorial, but to a happy place where they would go and children would be laughing and playing and knowing that their child really was responsible for those kids. So the idea is that the angel who is above watching the angels that are still physically here with us.
And are each of the playgrounds named for the kid?
Yes, they're each celebrating the life of Daniel or Jessica, or in this case here in Aberdeen, in Owen's name. So there's so many special pieces of it. I got to tell you that we'll get thanked for this, and we tell the story, but the real heroes not only are the angels, but are the moms and dads who have just show such grace and strength and inspire us to do these great things. And I'll tell you a little later on when Megan gets a chance to tell you how we met, but how this is continuing on to places like Mississippi and Oklahoma and Canada and even Rwanda is a place that we're planning on building.
And a lot of what you built in memory of the St. Hill victims was in Jersey. A handful were in Jersey, New York, Connecticut. Yeah, mostly Connecticut, I would imagine.
Yeah, out of the 26, 9 playgrounds were built along the coast of the state of New Jersey, 13 in Connecticut, and 4 in New York and Long Island.
Okay, now Megan's connection here. Unfortunately, Megan lost her son, Owen, several years ago at a very, very young age. And tell me how you made then the connection with Bill. Okay,
well, first I just want to speak about Owen briefly.
Sure.
In 2013, Owen developed a fever, and 6 days later he died from a very rare disease called HLH. And we knew right away that we wanted to give back to the community and give back to his school specifically. We decided to speak with the school and see what they needed, and what kept coming up most was that they needed a playground. So we didn't realize how expensive playgrounds were, so we tried to do the best we can with the PTO to try to raise money. Now, through my pediatrician, she ran into a volunteer at a party who had just come from one of Bill's builds. And so she started to explain to her what they were doing, what the charity was about, And my pediatrician called me right away and got us connected, and that's how I started speaking to Bill about the playground.
Were you done with all of the Sandy Hook playgrounds at this point?
Yeah, the 26 playgrounds were completed, and it was such a healing, beautiful experience for not only us but for the families. And it's to imagine to get all 26 of those families to agree to trust us to build them was a major thing. And they will tell you that's probably the only thing that they agree on. And they felt, and our volunteers just loved the camaraderie and the passion and the love that we got together while we were building these things, wanted to continue. So we started to build for victims of the Boston Marathon bombing.
Okay.
Sean Collier, police officer there, and then we were actually building an Ocean Gate, where one of our volunteers, Mary Connors, ran into Owen's pediatrician,
right.
And she said, I have a mom who is trying to build a playground, and so it was really special that we don't believe that there's any coincidences here, that we were meant to
right.
meet. Megan went to school with my son Smitty.
So how'd you meet? How'd you know that? How did you say this is 11? I know 11.
I didn't at first. Actually, we had our first meeting where he was proposing, what they did, what the foundation was about. And it was only at the end of that meeting that we realized that we were both from Woodbridge.
Yeah.
And then
I think Megan asked me where are you based out of, and we said Woodbridge. She said, I graduated from Woodbridge High School. And then Mary Kate, who's my executive director, who really should be here, she said, well, what year did you graduate? And because I have Kelly, Mary Kate, and Smitty. And was it 2000?
It was 99. We graduated in 99.
So she said, and your son is Smitty, and they share a couple of similar friends.
I knew Smitty right away because nobody else is named Smitty. So
Yeah.
Had you been kept in contact with Smitty through Facebook or anything?
We didn't really
friends?
run in the same circle in high school. Not that we weren't friends, but we just weren't.
Right.
He was on the soccer team. I was in the choir. We just didn't really cross paths too often. And then afterwards, I had seen a post that he had written about dealing with celiac disease. And I also have celiac disease, so I had contacted him privately through social media before any of this had happened to discuss that. And, we talked about dealing with that issue, and it was only later that we figured it all out.
Yeah, so we felt it was meant to be.
Yeah. And I'll tell you a story you might not know, but your mother called me up and said, "Who's this Bill Lavin?" She said, I knew the playground.
Yeah.
You're raising money for it, and
Right.
all of a sudden she says, "This guy wants to come in and do it all. What do I do? Should I trust him?" I said, "Are you kidding me? Of course you should." So she, talk about an angel.
Yeah.
She had no idea somebody could possibly be able to come in and do this for her grandson.
Right.
Well, one of the things we were really proud of, and we get way too much credit because it's a community thing. The idea is so special, that I believe this is Owen here. This is a book that Megan had written as a gift to us, but in a very real way, we believe that Owen's legacy, like his work, is not done, and his gift to that school, of that playground, and the playground that was there, which is going to Haiti. And is going to be built there through a group called Kids Around the World. So just through us, these angels are at work. For me, it beats the heck out of what I was doing prior, which was, talking to people about pensions and benefits
Right.
and all the things
negotiations
that
and politics and all those
very
things.
necessary and very important. But you can only do that for so long before you get a little jaded. And so this was like a rebirth for me, and to my blessing is to meet Megan and Mark and Emily and Nora and work with those families. They become our families after a while, and it's just a magnificent full circle story, and we're pointed. I always say there was a few places where people say, well, how do you choose to build a playground? And where, why Belmar? Why Manasquan? Why Wilmington, Massachusetts? And we say, well, we don't really choose it. Is the angels kind of guide you, to those places? And the same was true how we met with Megan, and it just fell into place.
So tell me about the effort. How many people? How many days?
Well, I was surprised when they told us that it would be built in a day. That kind of blew my mind. I didn't wasn't really expecting that. And it really took maybe about 2 days, 1 day for prep, and then 1 full day where volunteers come in, the community came in, and we just put the whole playground together. And there was a significant amount of people, at least 100 or so.
Did you organize that? Did you get them signed up, teachers and parents of classmates?
The school really helped out in organizing all that and took over, so I didn't have to really think about it. I just had to show up and help them out. We were there the whole time, even the day before with the prep. My husband Mark helped pour the concrete with the guys and really got in there and helped out as much as he could. And my daughters were the official four women of the build.
They had their own tool belt and helmet.
Right, and they loved it. So
the money pays for the equipment. You organize the volunteers. Of course, you got to get the the coffee and the donuts and the lunches and all that. It's a pretty huge undertaking for a weekend.
Yeah, a lot of people volunteered their time and to get the food and to feed the guys throughout the weekend. So the cost was on them and for our fundraising.
Our challenge really isn't to get, we never have a shortage of volunteers. Really, our challenge is to have enough work for all the volunteers who show up. These playgrounds, I have guys who have been at all of the first 26 and haven't missed one. They continue to go. A lot of guys that are retired, police and firefighters, teachers, all the guys that are sometimes vilified in places that they shouldn't be. But this, one of the sidebars of this, a byproduct of what we do is it highlights some really special groups of people. Mark is a teacher, Megan's husband, and I
was a teacher in Woodbridge,
and Megan, and Megan's mother-in-law is a teacher in Bayonne. So it's a really it's a great group of people that come together, all volunteer workforce. We would go to the local community and ask the local police officers and firefighters if you want to participate. And
of course they all do.
And they all do. When they hear what it's about. And one of the things that's difficult at first, and Megan touched on it, is you come in and say we're gonna do this, and whatever, it's a pay it forward. So if they raise $10 or in their case $50,000, that would go to the next project. So we would come in, and we've been able to stay ahead of it, so that there's no pressure on the community to raise X amount of dollars. But what happens is it becomes a challenge because they say, look at, this is a great gift we're receiving. We need to pay it forward. So the 5K race that Megan is running in honor of Owen and so many other people help us pay it forward to these other communities.
Well, tell me about the race.
So this will be our second annual Cambridge Park 5K Run Walk for Owen, which will be held in conjunction with Aberdeen Day on September 10th this year. So last year we were able to raise about $20,000 in our first year.
On a race?
Yes.
First year race?
First year race. So
wow.
We're hoping to get a lot more than that this year. And the portion of the proceeds will go towards Where Angels Play. The other part goes to the Cambridge Park PTO for the upkeep of the playground. And we also have a memorial garden for Owen at the school. So that helps towards that as well.
I got to imagine your mom was involved somehow in everything, knowing her as well as I do.
She will be involved this year. She wasn't as much last year, but she's in charge of all the volunteers this year. So I gave her something to do this year.
So now we say pay it forward. Do you know now of possible playgrounds you're going to do?
Oh, yeah. The downside is as you know, there's no shortage of tragedies. There's always, a cause. So we're going to be going to Pennsylvania, in Conningham, Pennsylvania. We're going to Moore, Oklahoma, eventually to build for the young children that were killed in the tornado. We're going to Canada. The firefighters from Toronto, Canada, helped us build playgrounds in the Connecticut area and in the Boston area. So unfortunately, there was a young child, son of a firefighter, that we're going to Canada next summer to build that. I talked about Rwanda, which is a major undertaking that 20 of our guys are going to be going to Rwanda to pay it forward with some beautiful survivors of the genocide there. So it has really gone exponentially. I do want to touch on the Woodbridge community and the Woodbridge police who helped us put together this amazing, with your help and the rec people there, Paul and the group from the Woodbridge Community Center.
Right.
we put a hockey tournament on together with firefighters and police officers, state troopers, and even Megan played as our honorary.
I saw that. I saw that.
She
held your own.
Yeah, yeah.
It may not have been a smart decision, but I did suit up and get out there.
It's got to make you feel like really part of it.
Oh yeah, it
it's does. Gotta be
it helped a
uplifting.
lot.
Tell them about your one of your dreams when you played with the NHL.
Well, growing up, I was a huge New Jersey Devils fan.
Not a girl.
And
now you're talking.
I just wanted to play hockey. You know, I didn't realize girls didn't really play in the NHL, but that didn't stop me. So it really was a dream of mine to get to play hockey, not only just play hockey, but to play with one of the New Jersey Devils from growing up, Bruce Driver, who was in goal, as I'm playing. So that was almost an out-of-body experience. But
so had you played any kind of competitive games before?
No, I've never played ice hockey in my life.
You never even had a stick in a puck?
I played street hockey.
Okay.
Yeah, I played street hockey in town, but I've never played ice hockey. And I actually, with the help of some people at the community center a couple days before, I actually learned how to stop on ice skates a couple days before. So that helped.
What team did you play for?
I played for the Where Angels Played team.
Oh, for your own team. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we had the
who
Where
won
Angels.
The tournament, by the way.
And there was a little bad check on.
She did get hit pretty hard.
Yes.
But whoever that was paid for it dearly.
I'm told. I'm told. Even his own teammates weren't happy with him.
It was all good fun.
But I do want to give a shout out to the police and firefighters, especially the police these days, as we film this, going through such a difficult time, probably the toughest job in America.
It's a difficult time to be a cop right now.
And they continue to not only do their job, including my son-in-law who's here in town, but they do stuff like this. They build playgrounds and they skate in hockey tournaments that raise money for Angels. And so they get a bad rap, and they have a very difficult job. And I'm proud of my firefighters, certainly, and of all of the first responders. So it's really a special project. It's a long story. I know I'm probably eating up too much time.
That's okay. No, the Woodbridge PBA, we'd have our own show about what they do for the town.
Yeah.
There's so many things that they do above and beyond the call of duty.
So you also host the New Jersey State PBA, has their office right here on Main Street. And one of the things we want to do as we go forward is we built a playground as an homage to the firefighters in Elizabeth, New Jersey, where I grew up and where I was a firefighter. But we'd like to build a playground here, and as you know, we'll be talking to you about in honor of the police officers and the work that they do, and make it, don't talk to strangers, and have educational, things for the children, and it be in honor of the police officers here in Woodbridge. So we're working on that. We want to do them for all the branches of the service. It's really an organization that is just, I don't think, going to stop anytime soon.
You've got yourself a full-time job after you retire.
Yeah. It's the best thing. I mean, I wish for everybody who retires and goes into, looks for something to do, to be blessed as I am, to work with families that like Megan and Mark and try to make a difference. We always say that this is a very selfish job, a very selfish undertaking, because we walk away, we get far more out of it. You finally feel like you're making a little bit of a difference. The book you're holding and what Megan's holding, that tells the entire story. It's on our website, and it's a very long and an amazing story, but it really pays tribute to, by the way, the son that went to school with Megan helped me write that book, and so I got to give him a shout out. But
so what does it take you through the entire story?
Yeah, it takes it from my days as a firefighter in Elizabeth and responding to 9/11, through my days in Mississippi, through my challenges in Trenton. And
that could be a book all by itself.
Oh yeah, that's the angry Bill. We'll leave that another one. But how I should say this. Really, the theme and why I do this is a quote from my mother, and she used to say, "If you threw your problems in a pile with everybody else's, you would fight to get yours back." And while I was feeling sorry for myself in some of the challenges that I had politically, or the people in New Jersey were feeling sorry for themselves, they lost their homes or they had some material losses, you cannot compare that to what Megan had to go through, or what these families in Newtown. So really, I've been blessed all my life. I didn't always know it. So when you look at things from that perspective, that has been what drives us. So it's our privilege to do what we do. and it's a great story. For every 3,000 of them that we sell, we're going to build another playground, and it's just going to continue to change the world. And it's a story, really. I thank you for allowing us to tell it on this program.
Nancy, your mom said we got to do something for Bill Lavin. I said, let's help him publicize this.
Yeah.
And Nancy and John, I mean, Megan's dad and uncle, and the families that I get to know, by name and work with them. There's a lot of guys over the age of 50 on this build. We want to get the young guys out, but it's amazing to see, I don't want to say old timers, but the guys who, are up there in years get a chance to dig holes and put these beautiful structures together. So it's really been great to work with the family and just to tell the story. I will tell you that I get way too much credit. I get to tell the story. I get to be on shows like this. But the real credit goes to the families and all the volunteers.
Well, I mean, they have to have a leader to run everything.
Yeah, somebody's got to tell the story and organize. All the things that I was trained to do with the fire department and the labor union. The children's burn camp from Connecticut. We volunteer up there with those beautiful children, burn survivors. That allowed us to have the network to be able to pick up the phone and call up and down the coast of Connecticut and build the playgrounds there. We had one of the moms from Sandy Hook actually crawling underneath the playground, drilling the bolts on Owen's playground, and it just, for her, it was the best thing ever. Mm-hmm. And for Megan, you can imagine how Megan felt. So it's really it's a support system that just you can't put a price on.
I mean, those were a very rough 6 days, and I was in a text chain with everybody. Do you now are you a support person for the next playground? Did the mom of the next playground talk to you? Do you interact at all with that?
Yes. Well, I didn't realize that she was also building a playground. Her name is Sue. She was in a support group with me, a Compassionate Friends group for parents who have lost children. So we had known each other. Her daughter had died from cancer at age 14, Hannah. And we had known each other, and it was only after Bill told me that they were meeting with someone who I knew, and we made the connection that they were also doing a playground. So she came to our playground build, we're going to her playground build. We've been supporting each other back and forth even prior to the playground. So this is just another extension of that.
Great. Now tell me about, you're holding up the Owens book. Why don't you tell me about
Yeah, she's a writer. Her book came out before mine.
It's a little shorter.
It is a little bit shorter. It didn't take as much time to write
But this is Owen. I don't know if the camera can get this. And go ahead, Meg.
Obviously, you don't know how to thank people who are, doing this so selflessly. And the only thing that I could think to do, because I enjoy writing and write picture books, is that I would write them a book about the experience and about what it means to, have a playground built for a child that you've lost. And so I had that made up and presented to them at our playground ribbon cutting.
And just the fact that we have about less than a minute left, but just the fact that it's a permanent, lasting tribute. It's got his name on it, and it'll have his name on it for the next 100 years.
Right. It means so much to us that Owen will be continuing to give back, even though he's not here, that he can give back to all the children in our community.
And thanks to the best angel I know in Woodbridge Township.
Well, my wife will tell you that's not true, that I'm not an angel, but I just want to touch on another piece if I
got a half a minute.
Okay, so Megan's brother John did some, he's also an angel, and he did work in Haiti. The playground that Owen not only brought here, sent another playground to Haiti.
Right. That's right. Good connection.
Connected to where John was. So there's so many.
I'm still getting goosebumps.
Yeah, it's an incredible.
And that's a long
God
story,
winks,
but that was a good story.
Yeah, we could spend. That's another book.
Well, thank you very much, Bill Lavin, Woodbridge resident, former state president of the Firefighters Mutual Benevolent Association. Megan Traskowitz, the mom of young Owen, who passed away tragically many years ago at a very young age. Now a permanent playground in their memory in Matawan. Thank you, Bill, for everything you do. Maybe this tape can help, spur the next playground to happen. So, thank you all for watching About the Town.